Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on, well, a really fascinating journey. We're looking into some ancient wisdom that honestly offers remarkably practical, actionable guidance for just everyday life. What strikes me right away is these sources. They don't feel like some abstract philosophy. They feel much more like a direct guide for how we interact with people, how we shape our character. Our focus today is really on these profound insights about what it means to live well, especially how we engage with others and maybe crucially, how we use our words. We're digging into excerpts from Islamic tradition, specifically sayings known as hadith. These are attributed to the Prophet Muhammad and his companions. And they're not just, historical footnotes. They contain really direct instructions for ethical living. So our mission, if you like, for this deep dive is to uncover these foundational principles that really tightly link belief to, well, concrete actions, focusing on how we treat people around us, neighbors, guests, and even just the words we choose. Okay, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. And what these sources articulate is, I think, a really compelling vision where faith in man isn't just some internal conviction locked away inside. No, it's presented as something that actively shows up. It manifests in your behavior, in your relationships. It's really about belief becoming visible through actions, through amal. And a central theme, you see it repeated in the first excerpt, is this direct link between whoever believes in Allah and the last day, and then specific ethical conduct follows. It's not just a suggestion. It's framed almost as a natural result, an essential consequence of holding that core belief. Every single directive that comes after hinges on this belief. It really emphasizes a holistic integration of creed and conduct.
Right. So that first practical directive we see right after that big statement of belief is to
Right.
do good to his neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just like don't annoy them, is it? It feels deeper. What might doing good have really meant back then? And thinking about today, what significance does that hold for building, actual community in our sometimes fragmented world?
That's a crucial point you're hitting on. Doing good to a neighbor, in that context, it went way beyond just being polite. It meant active care, sharing things, helping out if someone was sick or struggling, watching out for their property, proactively keeping up that trust and respect. It was about weaving a strong social fabric. And this isn't just a nice idea. The second excerpt really elevates it. It says, "The best neighbors in the sight of all Almighty are those who are best to their neighbors."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it lifts neighborly conduct to a really high spiritual value. It suggests that the health, the compassion of your immediate community, your sort of social capital, that's a profound measure of character and faith. It suggests that good society really starts right next door.
Okay, so from the people living right beside you, the first excerpt then moves to honor his guest.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitality obviously is a big deal in many cultures. But what was its unique significance here in this tradition? What does it tell us about the values they were trying to instill?
Well, the emphasis on honoring guests, Adab al-Alpha, it was, and honestly still is, incredibly important culturally and morally. It wasn't just about giving food and shelter, though. That was vital, obviously, especially when travel was tough.
Sure.
It was more about showing deep generosity, karam, respect, a really genuine, welcoming spirit. A guest was seen almost as a blessing, a kind of temporary trust given to you, how comfortable they were, their dignity. It reflected directly back on the host. It showcased not just their personal values, but the values of their whole household, their community. It built bonds, reputations. It was a very practical way to show kindness and, well, shared humanity.
That adds so much richness to what might seem like a fairly simple instruction.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot now to the third directive from that first excerpt. And this one feels maybe the most broadly applicable today. To speak well or remain silent. That feels incredibly potent. It's such a stark choice, especially now in our world that's just saturated with constant, often, let's face it, unthinking communication. What's the deeper implication there?
Oh, it's truly profound. What's fascinating here is how that simple phrase contains almost a whole philosophy of communication. It really does. It's not just don't insult people. It implies this deep, almost meditative consideration of what your words will actually do. Speaking well could mean speaking truthfully, kindly, constructively, saying something for the benefit of others. And the alternative, or remain silent, is just as powerful. It suggests that if your words can't add something positive, or if they might cause harm or division or misunderstanding even if you don't mean to, then silence isn't just nothing. Silence is an active and actually superior choice in that moment.
Oh,
It promotes this really conscious, mindful approach to all communication. It's a discipline, really, that guards against things like idle gossip, backbiting, gibah, or slander, namima. It's discipline. Thinking before speaking. and seeing silence not as emptiness, but as a tool for wisdom. Okay. Now, building on that social interaction theme, the second excerpt also mentions companions. It says, "The best companions in the sight of Allah Almighty are those who are best to their companions." How does this broaden the scope beyond just neighbors and guests to, like, our chosen relationships, our friends, maybe colleagues? What does it imply about real friendship or association?
Yeah, that definitely broadens the ethical framework quite a bit. It basically covers anyone you interact with regularly in a close way. Friends, sure, colleagues, associates, partners. It's really about the quality of your personal bonds. And just like with neighbors, the standard for being a good companion isn't just avoiding bad stuff, it's actively being the best to them. That implies, well, profound loyalty, unwavering support, honesty, being reliable, mutual respect.
Right.
It really reflects this concept of ukhuwah, this idea of spiritual brotherhood or sisterhood.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what these teachings, these hadith, are doing is laying out a really holistic, interconnected framework for ethical living within a community. They teach that your faith isn't just abstract. It's demonstrated practically through the whole range of social interactions, from the people you live closest to those you welcome in your home, to how you use your voice, and yeah, ultimately to the quality of the bonds you build with your closest associates.
Okay, so that brings us to the so what moment. For us, for you listening today, how do these ancient principles coming from a specific spiritual tradition, how do they resonate now with modern life, with the challenges we face in, trying to build connected communities?
That really does raise an important question for all of us, doesn't it? While, yes, these teachings come from a specific religious and historical setting, the principles themselves, I mean, treating neighbors with active care, showing genuine hospitality, choosing words mindfully, being a loyal, supportive friend, these are, frankly, universally valuable. In our world, which is somehow more interconnected than ever, yet often feels quite isolating and polarized. These directives offer a kind of timeless blueprint, a way to foster healthier, more compassionate communities, and honestly, deeper personal well-being, too. They're a powerful reminder, I think, that our actions and our words, no matter how small they seem, they have real impact. And that building strong, compassionate relationships is just, it's fundamental to a flourishing society. It really is.
So just to recap the core takeaways for you, the listener, we've really explored this deep, you could say, inseparable link between belief and concrete action. Specifically in how we actively treat our neighbors, how we genuinely honor our guests, how we choose our words with real care or choose silence, and how we strive to be the best companions we can be.
Right. These seemingly simple, very direct commands from, centuries ago, they offer incredibly profound insights into building a more compassionate, more connected, more virtuous society. They're a timeless reminder, really, that the path to living well is often found in the most basic, maybe, but deeply impactful human interactions.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. Considering these deep insights we've discussed, how might consciously applying these ancient principles to your own everyday interactions, whether that's with a neighbor, someone you host, or even just in your online comments, those digital exchanges we all have, how might that fundamentally shift your own experience of community and connection in the world today?